One of the things you could do is buy gold. But what happens when the United States buys gold? The dollar price of gold goes up and the brick gets stronger and the dollar gets weaker. So now back to the BRICS. They replicated the World Bank. They replicated the IMF. Now they're coming out with a new currency. BRICS currency. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. And I tell people, I said, if you want to understand this, it took me a long time to figure this out. I mean, I was just like slaving over it. But I said, if you want to understand this, you have to stop thinking like an American. You have to start thinking like a Russian. This is the kind of thing that pretty much only Russia could come up with. So what is the BRICS currency? And by the way, I don't know if they're going to call it a brick. I'm saying brick for convenience. It doesn't matter what they call it, but I just call it a brick for the time being. But they'll come up with a name. Who knows? The value of the brick is not determined with reference to any other currency. It's determined with reference to gold by weight of gold. And I don't know the weight. They'll pick one. But again, it doesn't matter because now we're back to Aristotle's transitive law. This is the key. This unlocks the whole thing because Aristotle said, if A equals B equals C, then A equals C. The B can drop out. It's not even arithmetic. It's logic. It's called the transitive law. I'm certain that Aristotle invented it. If any Greek scholars know an earlier source, let me know. So what the BRICS have done is they have dodged the biggest bullet, the thing that caused Bretton Woods ultimately to fail, the thing that potentially stands in the way of all this. They've defined their currency by weight of gold. Now, a weight of gold has a dollar value, right? So A equals B equals C. One brick equals one, could be an ounce or a kilo, it doesn't matter. Call it an ounce. One brick equals 1 ounce of gold equals, today, 1970. Well, through the transitive law, drop out the B and one brick equals 1970, $1,970. But that's constant. I mean, that logic works for a moment in time, but it's not fixed because the price of gold is going to fluctuate daily, minute by minute, right? So what's going to happen is the dollar gold, call it exchange rate, the dollar price of gold. So the LBMA, the COMEX, the London Metals Exchange, JP Morgan, unallocated forward contracts, the whole huge gold market in dollars is still going to exist. In fact, the BRICS want it to exist. And if I could just digress for 1 minute, I've never seen an international monetary economic problem that has created more confusion. I won't say misinformation, that's a little trite, but just confusion or maybe deliberate hyperbole than this one. Because let me tell you what this is not. I'm going to tell you what it is, but it's important to know what it's not. This is not the petro yuan. This is not the petro ruble. This is not a gold-backed yuan. This is not a gold standard. This is not the end of the US dollar. It's not the end of the euro. It's not the end of the world. It's not any of those things. But that's what everyone's running around on websites or whatever shouting about. It's none of those things. In fact, quite the opposite. And this is where the Russian mentality comes in. The BRICS want the dollar to be around. They want the dollar gold market to exist because they get the free ride. The dollar has to do all the dirty work in the gold space, and BRICS get the free ride. By declaring one brick equal to a weight of gold, again, weight's the key, they just let the dollar gold market go wherever it goes, and the brick is worth an ounce or whatever, kilo, whatever. And the dollar equivalent under the transitive law changes, but they're not pegged to the dollar. They're not fighting that fight. In other words, the BRICS get to free ride on the dollar gold system. And they want that system. They don't want it to go away because they get the benefit of a gold value. Now think of what the BRICS don't have to do in this scenario. They don't have to buy gold. They don't even have to own gold. They do, but no one in the world has enough gold to back a currency. This currency, the BRIC, will not be redeemable into gold. Now maybe there's a dealer somewhere who will take it. That's between you and the dealer. But it's not like you're going to be able to march down to the People's Bank of China with a pile of bricks and say, give me the gold. They're not going to do it. So it's not redeemable. They're not going to make a market. They're not going to maintain a value because they don't have to, because it's by weight. They just get to sit back and piggyback on the dollar gold system and let the dollar do all the dirty work with one twist. And here's the Russian contribution. So you don't have to close your capital account. You can close it, open it, whatever. You don't have to buy gold. You don't have to make a market. You don't even need that much gold. You just say, this is the ultimate fiat currency. The word fiat in Latin means I say so. Well, they say so, and there it is. Basically, this is a bet. This is a bet that the dollar is going to collapse against gold over time. I think that's a very good bet. This is not a 3-month forecast. I'm not saying gold's going to go up or down the next week. Who knows? But over time, now we're into what? Debt to GDP ratios, annual deficits, dare I say, modern monetary theory. I mean, all these ideas are ruining the dollar, and everyone can see it, but not yet. And so if you want to launch this new currency and you say, hey, long term, the dollar is going to collapse in terms of gold, I'll hook my horse to this wagon called gold by weight, and I'll just reap the benefits. And I don't have to do a thing.